We welcome you once again to our Wonderful Day in the Lord broadcast, and we hope you're having a wonderful day in the Lord. We hope that our time together in the book of Job will enhance that time before Him. We're coming to the end of the book of Job, and some might ask, why in the world is God spending so much time talking about two creatures that He's made, two creatures that we don't even know exactly what they are? The one we looked at yesterday, the behemoth, in chapter 40. And then he spends a whole chapter talking about something he calls the Leviathan. And we're not sure what this creature is, as we'll talk about that today and tomorrow. But it is one of the great creations of God, one of the great creatures of God. And the point seems to be this. Job, if I, God, the creator of these kinds of wonderful things, how great must I be to be able to do that? If these creatures are almost beyond imagination in their power and so forth, then think about the power and the awesomeness of God Himself. That seems to be the direction that God is going with these creations. Now, as we look at these beings, especially now the Leviathan, we're going to spend today and tomorrow looking at this creature because it's so unique in the Bible. And I find it fascinating myself. So I hope as you look at nature once in a while, you take a walk through nature and look at what God has created. What it does is draw you to Him, the creator of all these things. But there's two creatures that God pinpoints here that are just the top of the list of the things that God has created, at least as far as power goes. So we're looking at now at the Leviathan in chapter 41. And he says, can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook or press down his tongue with a cord? We're starting to look immediately at the power of this creature. Can you put a rope on his nose? Can he pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make supplications to you? Or will he speak to you soft words? This is a fierce creature we're talking about here. Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird? Or will you bind him with your maidens? Now in verse 5, he's saying, of this fierce creature, you're not going to make a pet out of him. This is not an animal anyone will domesticate. And also, you'll not make a pet out of him in verse 5 as well. You're not going to domesticate him so he becomes a household pet that your servants and your maidens can play with. Then he goes on, he says, verse 7, can you fill his skin with harpoons? Or his head with fishing spears? So apparently he is such a powerful creature that he cannot be captured. He cannot be defeated by people. Or if he can be, it's going to be a great battle. For it says, lay your hand on him, remember the battle, you will not do it again. You're not going to play with this animal. You're not going to be able to challenge him. Verse 29 says this, clubs are regarded as stubble. He laughs at the rattling of the javelin. So this, it's not saying here that mankind could not conquer this creature perhaps, but it sure is going to be a battle. And if it is a battle that they win, they'll be fortunate to have done so. This is being far too powerful for most of mankind to handle. So as he talks about this animal, he goes down to verse 10. So no one is so fierce that he dares to arouse him. Who then is he who stands before him? Who has given me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. So now he's saying in verse 10 that this animal is so fierce that you can't battle him. And therefore, because of his fierceness, because of what God has created in him, it points directly to the creator of this animal, the fierceness of God Himself. So let's think about that for just a moment. This creation, we don't know what it is. So today we're going to say that some believe that this is perhaps the Tyrannosaurus Rex or a similar creation as that. Now, if that is the case, then we've got a creature here that, again, as we said yesterday, perhaps from the dinosaur age. So a being that is something that no one would want to go out with a spear and try to tackle. Very fierce animal. So perhaps this is what we're looking at. Perhaps it's something else. The descriptions are not clear enough here for us to pinpoint what this animal is. What we do know is that he is fierce. He is powerful. He cannot be domesticated. He's beyond anything that a human being can handle. And so this is the creature God has created that he is showcasing at this point. Perhaps a dinosaur, perhaps something like a Tyrannosaurus Rex is what we're looking at this point. We're not quite done with that description yet, but let's go with that for just a bit. What a creature this would be. As we in our modern times have been able to dig up enough bones and so forth to see how big and magnificent and powerful these creatures were, we now have to go back to who created them. And so if God can create animals like this, then how wonderful is he? And that is his whole point in verse 11. This is where he's taking Job. He's not just giving Job a lesson in animals. He's not just walking Job by the zoo or the wilderness. He's pointing out that God created these things. So verse 11, who has given to me that I should repay him? Whatever is under the whole heaven is mine. Even these creatures, the behemoth, the Leviathan, as fierce, as powerful, as magnificent as they are simply creatures who have been created by God. They are controlled by him. When Job thinks about that, when you and I think about that, and we get a glimpse of the magnificence of God who created these things. Who are we to challenge God? So keep in mind, this is what Job has done earlier in the book, challenging God, wanting to take God to court, wanting to correct God. He has totally misunderstood how wonderful God is. God is demonstrating to Job the greatness of himself through the creatures that he's created. Now, I want to follow up on the Leviathan tomorrow. I find this creature very fascinating, and there's nothing quite like this in the Bible. So we want to take another look at Leviathan tomorrow. Hope you can join us.